हाँ शुरू हो गया.
So last time we proved two results, so which gave like several conditions of like equivalence of ergodic actions. Let's see. So we have a group G countably infinite acting on a probability space. It's a measure preserving action. So this is our setup, and then okay. So the result says that.
China, is finite also okay?
Yeah, till now I
Like
don't
in
think
G.
we have. Yeah, till now I don't think we have used infinite anywhere.
Okay, just countable. I think we have just used countable. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But I like okay. Maybe I can say something next time. But I don't think like if the group is finite, the actions will be very interesting. I mean
Mm-hmm.
ergodic actions.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe yeah. I'll say something next time. Okay. Uh, First was. So this means if we take any measurable set with non-zero measure and consider its orbit under the action, then the measure of that whole orbit is 1. So that is how we had defined ergodic. Second was okay. So yeah, actually since we gave two more conditions, we had fixed p between 1 and infinity. So yeah. Then if he is strictly
अरे क्वेश्चन में सब लोग क्लियरली देख पा रहे हैं क्या? कि मुझे नहीं दिख रहा है?
क्या देख पा रहे हैं?
कनेक्शन चलो ठीक है.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'll continue. So if f from omega to c is measurable and okay, so one thing I forgot to mention last time is maybe you can see in the first lecture that we had shown that this equality does not depend on which choice of representative we take for an element in LPBU. Yeah, so that is one point I forgot to mention last time. So if this is such that this equality holds, and by definition of LP mu, this is almost everywhere equality. Then so we proved all these equivalent conditions last time. So I'll state one remark that if this is because so if this sixth statement is true for some p, then between 1 and infinity, then in fact it will hold for all p between 1 and infinity. So how do we see that? Because if 6 is true, then let's say one of these other things, let's say 1 is true, and because 1 is true, we change this p to any other number between 1 and infinity, uh, then this sixth will be true for that thing also. So yeah, so if this is true for some p, it is true for every p. And interesting case for us is p equal to 2, because in that case L2 mu will be a Hilbert space. And so what will happen is so yeah, since it is a Hilbert space, we can study the unitary representations on it. In fact, like we'll be relating ergodicity with how the Koopman representation looks like. Okay, so I'll say like if uh, I not is the bottom part visible?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so any constant function is pi invariant, which we saw last time. But the thing is, from these equivalent conditions, especially the sixth one, we get that the action. So action alpha is ergodic if and only if no non-constant functions are pi invariant. So so precisely the only things which are uh, invariant are pi invariant are the constant functions. So what we now want to do is we want to take a general unitary representation and define when it is ergodic. But here the picture is not so clear because we have some functions which are invariant uh, and like, but those are just the constant functions. So we don't know in general how to extend this definition. So the useful thing to look at is now, so let's see. So if we now consider so recall the deleted Koopman representation which I defined last time. So that is the perp of all the space of all constant functions, and we saw that that is precisely the space of all functions whose integral is 0. So consider this thing. which is the deleted Koopman representation. And here we claim that this the action is ergodic if and only if there is uh, no invariant function except 0. 0 will obviously be invariant. So yeah, so I'll position
Just small thing. That is U of L2 mu, right?
sorry, yeah, sorry. Sorry. Alpha is ergodic if and only if phi naught has no so this is actually quite easy to prove. So let's see the forward direction that let some then since f is here and this is a subspace of L2 mu, this is in L2 mu, and since pi naught is just the restriction of the Koopman representation pi, we get that this f in L2 is in fact pi invariant, because pi naught g of f is just pi g of f for each g in G. And hence by this sixth condition, since pi g of f is precisely defined in this way, f composed alpha g inverse, we get that then
मैं
yeah.
संपूर्ण मैसेज किया है, कैन यू वेट फॉर फ्यू मिनट्स, पावर कट हो.
हाँ. Okay. So since f is pi invariant, by this sixth condition, we get that f is constant. Of course, almost everywhere. So if but since
Can you please repeat from proposition the statement I missed after that? Consider something.
oh, this deleted Koopman representation. So
After
what
that,
I am
from
I
the
didn't.
proposition.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I am just saying that alpha is ergodic if and only if this deleted Koopman representation doesn't have any non-zero invariant vectors, non-zero pi naught invariant vectors. So I am saying that if we have some vector which is pi naught invariant, then it is also pi invariant because pi naught is just the restriction of pi. Hence, by this sixth condition, we get that f is constant, but L2 0 mu, this is just the perp of this, and hence f belongs to both the scene to 1 and this, so f should be 0. So this is the forward direction, and backward direction is we now assume that pi naught has no non-zero invariant vectors. Then what we will do is we'll show pi has no non-zero invariant vectors. Pi has no non-constant invariant vectors, but that just means that if f is non-constant, then these two things are not equal for some g, because pi g of f is just this left hand side. So that will show that alpha is ergodic because 6 again implies 1. So yeah, so let's see. So we will show any f in L2 mu which is pi invariant is constant. Okay, so yeah, so what we will do is we look, so we first start with an f in L2 mu. So and let we take its integral. Then what happens is we consider the function f minus c, then which is just minus c, because c is a constant, c is a constant and mu is a probability measure, and this is c minus c, which is just 0. So hence f minus c is in L2 0 mu, but for all g belongs to g, phi g of f minus c is pi g of f minus pi g of c. But we know that any constant function is pi invariant, and we have assumed that f is pi invariant. So this is just f minus c. Hence, f minus c is pi invariant. And hence it is pi not invariant, because f minus c is in fact in the L2 0 of mu, and hence f minus c is pi not invariant. But we have assumed that pi naught has no non-zero invariant vectors. That means hence f minus c equal to 0, and so f equal to c. So f is constant. Hence by 6 implies 1 in previous proposition. We get that alpha is ergodic. So what we have is alpha is ergodic if and only if if and only if the deleted Koopman representation has no non-zero invariant vectors. So this thing we can generalize for any unitary representation. Here that was not possible because in a general Hilbert space there is no sense of what are constant vectors or non-constant vectors, but we have a sense of what are non-zero vectors. So we will generalize the definition of ergodicity to any unitary representation in this way. So I'll erase this. Definition. Hence, we get this corollary. So I should not call this a corollary because it is just the definition that an action this is measure preserving is ergodic if and only if the deleted Koopman representation so in some sense, I mean, probably in all cases, this might not be the best way to look at it, but ergodicity is a representation theoretic property because we can reduce it to a property of the most natural representation associated to this action. Okay, so yeah, so this is I think the basics I wanted to do for ergodicity. So maybe now we'll look at some examples. So first one we'll look at is like the action of integers on the circle, in which every time you rotate any element on the circle by a fixed angle. So this is like in most courses of ergodic theory, this will be the first example of an ergodic action that you will look at. So okay, so mm, rotation. So just for I mean the basics, I'll take a look at this set 0, 1, and on that I have the Borel sigma algebra and the labeled measure lambda, and I define this for any TR, which is just the translation by R. TR of some y, just the fractional part of y plus r. So if it goes ahead of 1, then we'll just take it back, pull it back to by -1. Okay, so this curly brackets is for the fractional part. And so we want to show that this TR is a measure preserving transformation. And obviously like T1 minus R. So if R is 0, then this is just instead of T1, I'll just call it say T0. So I'll just say 1 minus R is the inverse TR. This you can check easily, like we are going ahead by R and then coming behind by R, because adding 1 minus R is just coming ahead behind by R because we are quotienting out by any integer parts. So T1 minus R is the inverse of TR. So this is a bijection, and both of these are measurable. And for any set E, we have let's say TR of E, if E where E is a measure in the Borel sigma algebra of 0, 1, and TR of E is so E we can decompose into disjoint parts as TR of let's say 0 to 1 minus R intersection E union TR of 1 minus R to 1 intersection E. So E we decompose into disjoint sets, and on this set, this is just like this function is just translating ahead by R. So this is just R plus E, and on this set, this is we are going ahead by R, but then coming back by 1 because this will go ahead of 1. So this will be R plus E union. What is it? So this is, I think, R minus 1 plus E, right? Because we are going ahead by R and then coming back by 1. And since DR is a bijection, these two sets will also be disjoint. Hence, the measure of so lambda is our measure of DR of E is just measure of, wait, said something wrong. So on this set it is R plus just this set will be translated ahead by R union. So yeah, sorry. So measure of TR of E is just since these two sets are disjoint because TR is a bijection, is just measure of this measure of R minus 1. And since Lebesgue measure is translation invariant, this is just measure of 0, 1 minus R. This is just the measure of E. So TR is a measure preserving transformation. So now yeah. So yeah, so now what we want to do is we have this measure and we want to push it forward on the unit circle. So what we have is we have this like we have this map phi from 0 comma 1 to s1, in fact bijection, which is just phi of t equal to, and we can, as we saw in the previous lectures, we if we have any map from a measure space to a measurable space, we can push forward the measure by just taking this. So I'll define for all E in the Borel sigma algebra of the circle, mu of E is just lambda phi inverse E. And now we will define so let uh, Z belong, let's say W belongs to S1, then we define the multiplication map by W from S1 to S1 by MW of Z is just WZ. And then we will show that this map is again measure preserving with respect to the measure mu on S1. So and so note that W1 and W2 in S1 multiplication by W1 and W2 is just like first multiplying by W2 and then multiplying by W1. So we have this, and so multiplication by W, what we can do is we can go for back from S1 to 0, 1, then translate it by the suitable, I mean, log of W, which is, and then coming back to the circle. So we have that M of W is first like we go to this 0, 1, then translate by phi inverse W, and then come back. And so, and we can check by definition of mu. Because mu is just lambda composed phi inverse, that MW is a measure preserving transformation. So this is like intuitively quite clear, right? By like any set in the circle, you rotate by an angle, then the length remains the same. Okay. So now what we do is we fix W naught belongs to S1, and what we have is let alpha from the measure. So this is the set group of all measure preserving transformations on mu on S1 by alpha of n is multiplication by W naught raised to n. So because of this equality, we have this is just m W naught raised to n. Hence, this alpha is a group homomorphism from additive group Z to this MP of mu. And since we saw this is measure preserving, this action alpha is a measure preserving action. So alpha is so then we will see that when this action is ergodic. Okay, so for that, like let's recall some basic results from Fourier analysis. So we define
Chinmay, just a second.
yeah.
So what we're trying to do here? So I don't understand.
Oh, so no, we till now we have just defined an action of the integers on S1, like just rotate by a fixed angle.
Okay, so we defined first TR and then we defined M omega.
Yeah, so m omega is important. TR was just to show that is measure preserving, because the measure on S1 we are just bringing it from this 0, 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so in fact it will like be the Haar measure, but I didn't want to define Haar measure, so I just like took this 0, 1 where we already know the Lebesgue measure and pushed it forward onto S1.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So this so this I'll just stop for a while talking about this, and so I'll recall like how L2 of mu looks like. So we have a natural orthonormal basis on that. So yeah, so for every n in Z, define En on S1 to C by En of Z is just Z raised to n. And this is in L2 because it is a bounded function and the measure on S1 is a probability measure. So each then, so and what we have is we have this thing like, so we will use the change of variable theorem, which I had stated in the first lecture. So we have, so the integral of this Z raised to n d mu on the whole of S1, this is En Z d mu, but this is since this phi, we got this measure mu by taking like lambda composed phi inverse by the change of variable theorem. This is just En composed phi d lambda, and the integral will be on closed 0 open 1. So I'll just write from 0 to 1, and this is just integral from 0 to 1 of e raised to 2 pi I t raised to n. So that is just 2 pi I n t. And this is like, obviously if n is 0, then this is just integral of 1. So that is 1 if n equal to 0. And if n is non-zero, we take the antiderivative, which is 1 by 2 pi I n e raised to 2 pi I n t, and like evaluate it on 0, 1. So this thing takes value 1 at 1 and also value 1 at 0. So this is just 1 by 2 pi I n minus 1 by 2 pi I n, which is just 0. So the integral of z raised to n is just 1 if n equal to 0, and 0 if n is any non-zero integer. Okay, so yeah. So since
Is mu a push forward measure of Lebesgue measure?
what?
Is, is mu a push forward measure of lambda?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think here I have defined. Okay, so
Okay.
yeah. So now we'll show that this collection En, where n varies over all integers, this will form an orthonormal basis of L2 mu. So what we have is for every m and n belongs to Z, the inner product of En comma Em is just En of Z, En of Z bar d mu, but this is just Z raised to n, and Z raised to m bar will be just Z raised to minus m because it's on the unit circle. So this is Z raised to n minus m d mu, and by this result we see that this is 1 if n minus m is 0, which means if n equal to n, and 0 if n is not equal to n. So hence this collection is an orthonormal set. But what we have is we want to show this is an orthonormal basis. So we will show that the span of this set is dense in L2 mu. But since each of the ENs are continuous, the span of ENs will in fact be contained in the space of continuous functions on S1. And since that is dense in L2 mu, it is enough to show that this set is dense in the C of S1. So we claim the span of this set is dense in C of S1 in the L2 norm. And hence dense in L2 mu. But if we show that this, so we will in fact show that this thing is uniformly dense in C of S1. And since the mu is a probability measure, it will follow that it is also dense in the L2 norm. So we already have a result where we can see when something is dense in C of S1, which is the Stone-Weierstrass theorem. So we can see. So how does a typical element here look like? It will look like some let's say En from some minus n to n, from some minus n to n, ai z raised to I. So we can see that the product of any two elements of this form will also be of this form. And if we take bar, this z raised to I will just be replaced by z raised to minus I, and there will be a bar here. So this thing is closed under conjugation. Obviously, this thing contains 1 because 1 is just E0. Constant function 1 is just E0. And this E1, which is E1 of Z, is just Z. So E1 also separates points in S1. So we can use Stone-Weierstrass theorem. So I won't be writing all this. So by Stone-Weierstrass theorem, the span En and belong to Z is dense. So this is uniformly dense. in C of S1, because like as I just said, this span will be a subalgebra of C of S1, which is closed under conjugation. It contains 1 and it separates points. So this is uniform, and hence is dense in C of S1 in the A2 norm. Hence, hence we conclude that in belongs to Z. Writing in orientation. An orthonormal basis of A2 mu. Okay, so yeah, so now that we have recalled the structure of L2 mu, we are now in a position to say when this action alpha, which is just by multiplication, you send Z to W naught Z, then W naught square Z, then W naught cube Z. So when this action is ergodic, so I'll just state it. So proposition. So W naught is in S1, and we define which is just MW naught raised to n of Z, and so this is a measure preserving action, then which we have already shown, and then the following are equivalent. So the first one is phi inverse of this W naught is irrational. Second is W naught raised to n is not equal to 1 for every. So we see that this thing, I mean, we see that this action is ergodic if and only if this W naught is e raised to 2 pi I times t, where t is an irrational number. So I'll prove this. So maybe it's like almost 10, so I'll prove this and stop, and maybe we'll look at another example next time. So prove 1, 2. So this is actually quite easy to see. So we have that. So we'll prove like contrapositive of one implies, negation of one implies negation of two. So we say that W naught raised to n is 1 for some e raised to 2 pi I. Since W naught is just e raised to 2 pi times pi inverse W naught. But since phi is like a group homomorphism, phi inverse is also a group homomorphism. So this is from 0, 1. So where 0, 1 is the additive group. So this is if and only if e raised to 2 pi I n pi inverse of W naught equal to 1. And if and only if this is only possible when n phi inverse W naught is an integer. So all this is for some n in L. always three statements. If and only if this is rational. So we see that negation of one is if and only if negation of two. So one if and only if two. And now I'll show that 2 implies 3. Okay. So we will show that any if any f in, so let okay. So we will show that this f is constant, and since the we gave some series like uh, we gave some equivalent conditions from which we will get that alpha is ergodic. So yeah, so how do we show that this is constant? So we know we have an orthonormal basis En, and E naught is just 1. And if we show that inner product of f with any other En is 0, then that means that f is in the span of just E0, and hence f will be constant because E naught is the constant function 1. So let n belong to z minus 0, then yeah. So now from this second condition, we see that w naught raised to n is not 1 for any natural number n. But then this just means that w naught raised to minus n will also not be equal to 1. So 2 trivially implies that w naught raised to n is not 1 for any non-zero integer n. So we will use that. Hence w naught raised to n is not equal to 1. Uh, Now what we have is then inner product of f comma en is just integral f of z en of z bar d mu. But by change of variable theorem, what since this alpha is measure preserving, what we get is that this is just integral of f of uh, raised to minus nz. Wait, what am I saying? Am I saying this correctly? Okay, I'll just no. Okay. Yeah, by change of variable theorem, we get that. So instead of alpha n, I'll just say alpha 1. Actually, alpha minus 1. Since this alpha of minus 1 is the measure preserving map from S1 to S1, by the change of variable theorem, we get this equality. And this is just f of w naught no, okay, sorry. So since we saw that we assumed this f composed alpha of so n inverse is z is additive group, so this should be minus n. So f composed alpha of minus 1 is just f because f is assumed to be invariant under this action. So This is just f of z, and this is En of W naught inverse z. This is integral f of z W naught inverse z raised to n by definition of E naught. This is, since W naught is constant, this will be W naught raised to minus n f of z. Here it is. Sorry, today I have messed up a lot. So this is just f of z En z bar d mu. So hence this is W naught raised to minus n into inner product of f and dn. So inner product of f and dn is W naught raised to minus n into this thing, but W naught raised to minus n is non-zero. Sorry, not 1, and hence this inner product is 0. Hence f is in the span of E0 and f is constant. So this is how we see 2 implies 3, that if we are taking rotation by an irrational, I mean, if pi times an irrational angle, then we get alpha is ergodic. And now I'll show the converse and then stop. So converse I can like, so converse is 3 implies 2. So let, if possible, z raised to n be 0. Sorry, 1. So I'll give 2 very easy proofs. One will be similar to what we have done here in A2 mu, and another one we can do indirectly in the major theoretic way. So proof 1. What we do is we consider this consider this. En is non-constant, but we will show that En is invariant under this action. So but but this is 1 because W naught raised to n is 1. So this is just z raised to n. So this is a contradiction. And proof 2 is like much more simpler in some sense. So what we do is we have W naught raised to capital N is 1. Then So then let's select. So we take E equal to, so remember we had this map phi from close 0 open 1 to S1, which was measure preserving from like, because by definition of mu. So let E equal to phi of some 0 comma R, where R is less than 1 by N. Then mu of R, which is greater than 0. So E is a positive measure set, but now we look at the orbit of E. So like, so but since like we have alpha of capital N is just the identity map, we get that this is just union of like N is going from 0 to N minus 1 alpha and E, because everything else will again be a repeat of one of these things. So this is but since alpha is a measure preserving action, this is just from 0 to minus 1 mu of E. This is this, since this is n times, since sum is from 0 to n minus 1, this is n times R. But R is less than 1 minus n, so this is strictly less than 1. But by definition of ergodicity, this means alpha is not ergodic, since measure of E is positive, but the measure of its orbit is not 1. Okay, so maybe I'll stop today. So any questions? I like messed up quite a lot today, so sorry for that. So any questions? Hello.
नहीं
No, I was saying that it was great. I mean,
Oh.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was